I've played tons of PC games, so much that there's really no point in keeping a running count. So today, I'm just going to drop 10 games casually on the floor, and it's up to you to say, oh wow, and play them yourselves. Bear in mind, I'm not suggesting that these are the best PC games ever. That's incredibly subjective. These are just 10 games that made me get warm and fuzzies in my no-no regions. Also, this list was written during a time where I focused primarily on point and clicks, so you're going to get plenty of recommendations in that regard. As time goes on, I'll branch out a little. This game has a special place in my heart. From my memory, this was the first point-and-click adventure title that I ever played. As an adult, I've had the opportunity to explore many of the games Sierra Online released, and this is the first one that I streamed. Torins Passage is your usual point-and-click title from late-era Sierra, with more cartoony graphics, but I absolutely love the game. In some ways, it's an adventure mixing the perfect elements of coming-of-age, buddy comedy, and moon logic that Sierra was well known for. In my opinion, if you ever want to play a Sierra game that doesn't tie into any other franchise, then Torins Passage should be your starting point. We play as Torin, voiced by Michael Shapiro, he's the G-Man from Half-Life, who's the son of a royal couple surviving an assassination attempt, and in the interest of keeping him safe, is placed with the Farnhams. Then one day they get kidnapped, and Torin and his buddy Boogle have to rescue them by going deeper and deeper into the planet by using phenocrysts. It's a shame no sequel was released. This game is truly an adventure. Designed by Revolution Software, the same folks that would bring us the Broken Sword franchise, Beneath the Steel Sky is a point-and-click adventure taking place in a dystopian future. If you can't tell by now, I prefer my point-and-clicks to be 2D in a 3D environment, and this one, it's a really good time. With a sizable area to explore, naturally flowing dialogue, cheesy humor, and tons of cultural references to pop culture at the time, Beneath the Steel Sky is an amazing game that is 100% free on GOG Galaxy. The entire concept of the game is to utilize your robot companion Buddy to combat a city that's all but corrupted by a sentient computer known as Link, or Logical Interneural Connection. I'll spare you the details of the story in the interest of letting it play out for you, but it is a fun time and easily in my top 10 for point-and-clicks. There was a recent follow-up called Beyond the Steel Sky, but based on the reviews, I don't think I'm going to check it out anytime soon. Emotionally, this is one of the most beautiful experiences that I've had when playing 90s era games. If you're like me, you thought Loom would be some nonsensical game being sold out because some goon in Secret of Monkey Island in the bar was telling you, "Have you played Loom yet?" But then one day, I saw it for sale and, well, I had to check it out. At the time, like I said, I was focused on point and clicks, and the moment I booted up the game, I knew that I was in good hands. This game focuses primarily on music and spells known as drafts that you learn as the plot progresses. LucasArts did a phenomenal job with their programming, dialogue, music, and overall story flow, and the only chief complaint that I have about it is that it's so short. I think I beat it in 3 hours. The game was designed by Brian Moriarty, who had previous experience with Wishbringer, Trinity, and Beyond Zork. Plot-wise, we play as Bobbin Threadbare, who belongs to the Guild of Weavers, one of the many guilds in this game. We use a staff to use magic. For example, the dye spell, which changes the color of an object, which interestingly enough, if you play the spell in reverse, casts the bleach spell. It's another one of those coming-of-age games, and I strongly encourage you to check it out. Space Quest stems from the line of Sierra's Quest games. You had Police Quest, Space Quest, King's Quest, and even Quest for Glory. In Space Quest, we play as Roger Wilco, who is a space janitor who always seems to be at the right place at the right time. Space Quest 4 marks the jump from EGA to VGA, which if you know anything about computer graphic adapters from the era, EGA to VGA was a huge difference in colors that you could use in games, and as such, developers were able to create more vivid worlds, well, at least for the early 90s. Also, Space Quest 4 was one of the first games ever to utilize motion capture technology. In every segment you see in the game, it's all hand-painted. Gone were the days of the text parser, and instead we have the point-and-click interface with the ability to look, talk, walk to, use, taste, and yes, even smell. This game is obviously the fourth in the series, but there were 7 in total. There's also a few fan titles too. Whew! King's Quest, now that's a line of games that I truly enjoy. Originally, much like Police Quest and the likes, they were text parser games, which, if you've never involved yourself with a text parser game, basically you have a box at the bottom and you type get object, open door, turn on lamp. And once you're used to it, it's pretty easy to deal with. In the game, we continue the story of King Graham, who's out for a walk, and then out of nowhere he witnesses his castle being magicked away by a wizard named Mordak, who is the brother of Manannan, who Graham's son, Prince Alexander, turned into a cat in King's Quest III. It's a mouthful, huh? The entire King's Quest series is genuinely a good time, save Mask of Eternity, but I've only ever checked that out in long plays, and I've never taken the time to actually play it. Personally, I don't have my hopes up. King's Quest V, though, I'd play it again in a heartbeat. King's Quest was recently reimagined by The Odd Gentleman, well, recently as in 2015, and it's a good time. If you've ever played King's Quest V, you already know that King's Quest VI is going to be a banger. Little trivia fact to break the monotony, the voice of the main character is Robbie Benson from Beauty and the Beast. Yeah. Anyway, King's Quest V sources its inspiration in many literary works such as Arabian Nights, Alice in Wonderland, and Beauty and the Beast. Funny, huh? There's a little bit more backtracking than I would want from this game, but you do kind of get used to it rather quickly. There are also multiple endings, which wasn't present in the franchise previously. Another little tidbit of information for you, this game was created by Sierra head Roberta Williams, and this new fancy designer named Jane Jensen. She would go on to create the Gabriel Knight series, another point-and-click franchise in the Sierra library. Let's take a break from the point-and-clicks, at least for a moment. When you think of a good, no bullshit, proper FPS action, Doom is where it's at. Created by id Software, Doom was the brainchild of the original 4 of id Software: John Romero, Tom Hall, Adrian Carmack, and John Carmack. For many of us, Doom is a rite of passage for gory, boomer shooter, balls-to-the-wall action, and it's been ported to everything from the original microcomputers of the era to calculators and anything with a display. There's legitimately a culture that exists to play Doom on anything and everything, and I'm all for that. I hope one day I can play Doom on my coffee maker because that would make my mornings rather interesting. Doom is where the Doom franchise began, and I'm sure if you're watching this, you know all about Doom Eternal and how hyped out it was and how fucking awesome the music is. If you like FPS titles and you haven't checked this out, hate to break it to you, you're wrong. Leisure Suit Larry is a more adult-themed point-and-click series from the mind of Al Lowe, who was the producer of the first game we mentioned today, Torins Passage. I've actually interviewed Al for the Ready Go Gaming Show entry all about Sierra, Davidson, and Blizzard, and one of the things we talked about was how Leisure Suit Larry as a franchise wouldn't survive in today's day and age. Playing any Leisure Suit Larry title is like cracking open a time capsule to a time where anything went. There was no such thing as cancel culture, and a time where tongue-in-cheek humor drove massive sales for a small company that would eventually be torn into shreds by Activision Blizzard. I'm still upset about that. Contemporary Sierra, it's a joke in comparison to the juggernauts that they were in the 90s. Leisure Suit Larry did have a recent game, Leisure Suit Larry Wet Dreams Dry Twice, but it was created without any input from the folks that made the franchise matter. It just wasn't good. Leisure Suit Larry 5 is the 4th game in the series. Yes, I said that right. It's an inside joke that Al Lowe decided to pull on the general public. When I interviewed him, he said he was talking to a coworker in the hallway who said, "Hey, you working on Larry 4?" And him being sarcastic, he said, "No, Larry 5. And that's where the light bulb moment happened. Many of the elements from Larry 3 carried over, namely the incorporation of multi-character perspectives. Oh, and that inside joke? It's written into the plot. The fourth game, hypothetically, is known as Leisure Suit Larry 4, The Missing Floppies. Because the game was never made due to the joke, Larry is an amnesiac who works in the adult film industry and has to scout for models. I do enjoy this game, and I think you would too. Just be careful using that zipper icon. You never know what'll happen. When I first saw this game, I thought, oh good, another strange platformer. I couldn't have been more wrong. A Hat in Time is brilliant, it's gorgeous. It's a game that sheds a light of hope on modern platformers. You remember back in the day when platformers were dominated by collectathons like Super Mario 64, Spyro the Dragon, and Banjo-Kazooie? This game plays awfully like it, with you having to find timepieces instead of stars, gems, or jiggies. Oh, and Grant Kirkhope, the composer of Banjo-Kazooie, he even wrote a song for this game, and if I remember right, it's kind of the same theme as Mario and Rabbids, or whatever that dumb nonsense was. If you enjoyed the era of collectathon platformers, you are absolutely going to love this, and take it from me, I hate that era of platforming, but A Hat in Time, it's unique to me. It's so incredibly open world for what it is. It's shockingly approachable. It's inherently fun. The story is funny, it flows incredibly well, and there are moments of pure terror and unimaginable happiness for someone like me. The stages, I find them intuitive, and at the end of the day, this is a god-tier game, plain and simple. This is a title that you should play, you should let your kids play, and it's got some DLC. I should check it out sometime. Because sharing video game history is something I'm very adamant about, it would mean the world for me if you hit that subscribe button. Also, down in the comment section below, tell me what our next top 10 should be. I'll gladly take your suggestions. I'll probably make a video out of it. As always, from my family to your family, good energy, good vibes. 45 out.